Hey everybody. So thank you so much for tuning in to my channel, and just thank you so much for taking out the time. So today I really wanted to first make sure that you subscribe. Okay. Make sure that you subscribe, share this out to all your family and friends, support your girl. But today I really wanted to talk about going bigger, right? Going bigger. And it's more than what you think, right? Most people think that going bigger is just the idea of going bigger. But no, you really need to understand what going bigger really means. And so that's my theme for this entire summer is going bigger. It's also the name of my devotional. And the reason why I chose go bigger is because I feel as if people don't go big enough. Listen, out of all of the years that I've been, doing this work and living this life, I understand that it's easier to just go bigger. I found that going small and trying to be small takes more energy than it does to just be bigger. Like being your full authentic self, doing that thing fully, you just get so much more out of it, right? And so many times we try to take the baby steps, we try to take the easy step, and we want this huge reward, right? We say, okay, God, I want to live this life. I want to live full of joy. I want happiness. I want this and I want that. But your actions don't align up to that thing that you say that you want. So if you want to do big things, you have to do big things, right? And I feel like so many people hold themselves back out of fear, anxiety, the thoughts of what other people think about them. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. I cannot tell you how many people are holding up their lives based upon what other people think of them, okay? That's been one of the biggest things that I see. One of the biggest downfalls is that people are constantly thinking about the judgment of others. But when you really look at the grand scheme of things, and I'll talk about my own life, right? When God first originally told me to step into this journey, to write the book and things of that nature, I was terrified of what people were going to think. I was terrified of what people were going to say about my story. I was terrified about what people would think of me. I was terrified to think about what my family was going to say about this book, right? Because of course, you're putting other people into your story because you live this life with them, right? And so all of it was like extremely uncomfortable. But here's what I had to understand. I had to understand that me doing the big thing, me stepping out on faith, me walking into what terrified me was the thing that I had been praying for, right? I was saying, God, please release me from this life. If you don't know my backstory, years before that, I was in the adult entertainment industry, got out of that, got married, and then I was in the music industry. And I had reached a point in the music industry where I was like, this isn't the way that I want to go. Okay? It was not a great representation of who I was, and it wasn't representing me as the mother that I knew that I was to my children. And so I'll give you this quick story, and I talk about it all the time, and it's when my son, okay, so my son is 23 years old now. And at the time, he was much younger, maybe 4th, 5th grade or something like that. And he came home one day and he talked so highly about his friend's mother, okay? She had come in for career day and she was a whole doctor out here, y'all, okay? She was a doctor. She had a stethoscope. And so she just showing the stethoscope and talking about her career. And my son was so fascinated by this, right? He was so fascinated about her stethoscope and her coming in and talking about her career. And he came home and he was just bragging, right? And I'm thinking in my head, like, I never heard him talk about me that way, right? Like, even though I was in the music industry and he was happy about me being in the music industry, that was just a certain light that kind of lit up in him. And I knew that what I was doing wasn't a great representation of who I was, and it wasn't a great representation of the mother that I was. So I had this internal battle, right? Y'all know that internal battle that y'all feel. You're like, oh, I know this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm just going to kind of ride the wave and go this way anyway. And so I knew that my purpose was here, but I was here, right? Like, I was going on this road, but my purpose was on this road. And some of y'all know exactly what I'm talking about, because you're like, girl, I am there right now. Sometimes it may not even be the things that you're doing in your life. It could be the people in your life. It could be that man you're dating that you know is not part of your purpose, right? That woman you're dating, you know she does not align with where God is taking you, right? But you continue to do it. You continue to do it. And so that's how I felt in the music industry. So I was in the industry for like 4 years. And then the last 2 years, I was like, this is not what I should be doing. Even though I have the talent, I'm a singer, but even when I was in the music industry, I wasn't singing, I was rapping. Why are you rapping when you know you're a singer, right? So just all this internal stuff going on. And so when he talked about his friend's mother being a doctor, I was like, man, I could never go to career day, right? I was like, I don't even have the skill sets to tell my kids, well, I used to be a stripper, then I used to be a rapper, then I did that. You know, it's like, I can't go to career day talking about that. And so I went into my room and I just cried, right? And I was like, God, I need for you to do it for me. I need for you to shift my life, because I know that it is going in the absolute wrong direction, okay? And so here's the thing about God. When you ask for something, you pray for something that you know aligns with what he wants, right? So he already has a purpose for you. Your purpose has already been created before you were even born, all right? And so I was praying for God to help me become the woman to live out the purpose, right? So God had always given me visions of this woman. He had always given me the insight to see the woman that I could be. And a lot of you are like that too. Like, God is showing me the vision. I see it. I just don't know how to be it, right? And so I was like, I see that woman, but I don't know how to be that woman, right? And so eventually you get so caught up with turmoil, inner turmoil in your spirit, where you have to make the shift. Like, it's so unbearable to where you're like, I have to jump. I have to make this shift. And God would do that. A lot of times we think it's the devil. It's not always the devil, right? God is like, I'm going to squeeze you. I'm going to make this situation so uncomfortable to where you don't have a choice. And if I have to continue to squeeze you and squeeze you and squeeze you, I'm going to put you in a position to where there's no longer an option, right? So God was squeezing me for years. But I was still like, no, I'm just going to go this way. This is working right now, so I'm just going to keep doing this, right? But eventually you're going to get to a place where everything stops working. Everything that you're doing no longer works anymore. And so you're going to be at a crossroads. So what happened to me was in 2015, I was involved in a fatal car accident. The man that I was dating at the time died in the car accident. I literally had to find his body, watch him take his last breaths, like literally, like extremely traumatizing, okay? But when I came out of that situation, I was not the same woman. I really felt like the woman that I was died in that car accident as well. And so at this point, I'm just trying to figure it out. What do I do next? Where do I go? All I know is this. My whole life, all I had known was toxicity. Everything that I've known has been toxic, right? My childhood was toxic. My, first part of my adulthood was toxic. I was a stripper, dancing in clubs. I was clubbing all the time. The men that I dated were toxic. My marriage was toxic. Like, that's all I knew was toxicity. And so when I came out of the car accident, I was like a new person, a new being. I had a new perspective. And if anybody has ever been in a situation where they face death or they watch somebody die, there's no way you can go back and be the same. Like, shame on you if you experience something like that and you go back to doing the exact same thing you were doing before. Shame on you. Shame on you. That is a huge indication that something in your life needs to shift, right? And so I was extremely remorseful. Like, I was walking up to that coffin thinking, why am I still here and he's not here? Why am I able to walk up to this coffin and he's dead? Like, I couldn't understand. So they call it survivor's remorse, where you start feeling remorseful for even living. And so I was speaking to a lady and she told me, you know what? Maybe you should change your perspective on that car accident. She was like, maybe he was going to die anyway, because he had came to save me from a situation, right? I was always getting into stuff, okay? So he was there. He was like my knight in shining armor, always there, right? So he was coming to get me out of a situation. And that's another reason why I felt guilty, because I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't have called him. Maybe I should have called someone else. And then she was like, well, everyone is assigned a day to be born and a day to die, right? She said he was going to die anyway that day. That was the day that he was assigned to die. Maybe God placed you in the vehicle to watch it so that he could transform your life and get your attention. And I was like, what? Like, mind blown, right? I was like, that is a whole new perspective. Maybe, right? Maybe he was going to die anyway that day. Maybe God was like, I love you so much, I'm going to put you in this car accident, save your life, shield you from all harm, and show you my goodness, right? And so many times we miss it. So instead of me saying, God, thank you for saving me, God, thank you for shielding me, I was like, God, why ain't I dead too? And I know God was like, girl, you just missed the whole point. Use this as momentum to change your life. Use this as momentum to walk into the purpose that I have for you. You already know the woman that I've called you to be. Use this. Talk to other people about it. Use this as something to talk about, so that you can help other people and serve other people. So that's really, really what happened for me. I was just like, I'm just going to help other people. I was in so much pain, and I was like, I don't know what else to do with this pain but to use it, right? So God then took the gifts that I already had naturally. I've always been a writer. I've always been good at speaking. So he was like, we're going to use those two things, right? You're going to write a book and you're going to speak. And that's what I tell people all the time. God doesn't tell you to do something that you can't do. right? I have been writing all my life. Since a little girl, I always wrote music. And even when I was in school, I did very well in language arts, and I could write essays and all this stuff really, really well. And so he was like, we're going to use your natural talents and abilities, and you're going to write the book, and then you're going to start speaking. And so that's what happened, right? That's what happened, and completely changed my life. And in the process, I was able to help other people. So that's what I want to get you guys to understand, that a lot of times some of the things that we think are bad are really, really created for our good, and they're used to shift us into the purpose that God has for us. All right. So I just wanted to come in with that, give you guys some hope and some inspiration so that you understand that all things are working for your good. God can turn anything around. God can use anybody to set you on the track to do what you're called to do, to walk in your purpose. All right. So that whole situation with the car accident literally was the stomping ground to shoot me into my purpose. Okay. So make sure that you guys follow. Thank you so much for checking out this conversation. I like to consider these conversations, right? Make sure that you share it out with anybody who you feel needs it. And I will talk to you guys soon. Make sure you check in and stay connected.